Who am I? What is the two-word answer that can change everything? I'm Helen Jane Rose, and welcome to this week's World Affairs Truth Report number 6. If you're just tuning in for the first time, I'm a channel, spiritual guide, healer, automatic writer and author of a number of books, including The Coming Times, which is where these reports came unfolded from. If you'd like to know a little bit more about the background, you can go to our YouTube site at The Coming Times Unpacked for an interview with myself and my partner Jed, and Jed will be coming in after I've read the channeled message and unpacking it for us, bringing his wisdom and his understanding and his perspective, and really helping to ground the messages in a much more practical way. If you prefer to read the transcript from the report, then you can go to www.thecomingtimes.org, and under under the blog section, the transcript will be there. Okay, so now I'm going to read verbatim the message and guidance that I received for this week's report. Welcome, beautiful soul, to this week's World Affairs Truth Report. It is bold of us to call these reports truth. Yet there is so much falsity on your planet. So many untruths being branded as truth. Is it even necessary to know and understand the deception at play? Yes, it is. So much that's unfolding might seem on the surface as one way, yet we tell you behind the scenes is very different. And why, you might ask? Because it's part of the process of freeing your mind. It's hard to talk about the world and not talk about deception. Yet the deception that your mind has created for you is a microcosm, if you like. It has in effect kept you hostage from knowing the truth. Knowing the truth of who you really are. This is by design. But that is changing now as the consciousness of the soul seeps into conversations across the planet. We take a moment to honour all those whose lives are being affected as the battle takes place across the planet, that will seep into corners that until now haven't been affected. People playing with lives without a thought for the outcome. On one hand is horrendous, as seen from a human, empathetic standpoint. Yet, from another, is part of a bigger plan. Why do we say this? Not to cause upset or worry, but to bring awareness that if certain events in the Earth's history can be foretold ahead of time, that means that the ones who claim and believe to be in control aren't. You see, whilst it might seem that we could intervene and bring the planet to peace, we can't. What we can do, and what we are doing through messengers and light workers across the planet, is to encourage the planet back to the light, back to their true selves, and from there, peace will reign. But not until the balance has shifted. And that's what the shift in consciousness is all about. And so we draw you away from the world stage and inwards to yourselves in this moment. We encourage you to close your eyes for a moment and bring your awareness to your heart. You can never truly be disconnected from your light. But now is the time to consciously align with it. Remember, you are connected to Source, to love, to God, whichever description feels best for you. It's the breath that keeps you breathing in life. It's the life force that sustains you. How you use that life force is up to you. Pause for a moment before opening your eyes. Perhaps you can feel the light strengthening from within you as you listen to this transmission. Dedication to your inner world is needed now. We urge many of you to try as best you can to stay out of the drama that's unfolding in front of you, and use your consciousness as a source of inspiration, hope, and becoming the light post that you agreed to be. For some, this will mean working on your own inner healing and where you are disconnected from your light. Where within yourselves do you not feel love for yourself? Start there. Remember, the inner is a reflection of the outer. When love is turned on within yourselves, love shines out from within you, and you become a true blessing to a planet that desperately needs you. The soul self is set to get stronger now, and like the 100th monkey effect, once it takes hold, will become as if it always was. How seamlessly one can shift into the perspective of their soul self, if they want to. Who is the soul self? The soul self is the true you outside of all the patterns and programs that govern you. You are not who you think you are. Every label that defines you isn't the real you. And so we bring you back to the profound question: who are you? Can you start to ask the question, who am I? This is for everyone, despite where they're at on their spiritual journey, as the question brings different realizations depending on where your consciousness is at. A very simple exercise that is hard to understand by the mind is to ask, who am I? And reply inwardly to yourself, I am. This is a first step in activating the consciousness of oneness from within you. A consciousness that the world so desperately needs now. I'm Helen Jane Rose, bringing you the messages and guidance from the Divine Council.
Thank you, Helen, for another wonderful report, delivered beautifully.
Thank you.
This week there's a lot covered, so bear with me. I'll try and keep it as concise as possible. But the Divine Council take us through a bit of a journey of asking us to accept truth or their truth or your own truth, to work through deception, to understand what deception is, understand your own role in deception, and then a movement to understanding our role in the bigger picture at play, to understand and accept that there is a bigger picture at play, and to take us through some positive territory into this as well. And it's not all about doom and gloom. There is a bigger picture, and to steer us to our inner self, and to reflect on our inner feelings, and to, as they've spoken about in previous messages, that that our inner world can or realizes into our outer world, and so we can take full responsibility of it. So they started off with a question. There is so much falsity on the planet, and they're asking us to accept their truth. Why should we do that? Why on earth should we accept what they've got to say over and above anyone else? And I think you have to feel it, and they're asking you and me, to really feel the depths of our own truth. What does it feel like when you hear the words from Helen's, verbatim report? What does it feel like to you? They're not forcing this on you. It's up to you how you feel and respond. And they're asking the question about the deceptions that are available to us, that we've been programmed to be deceived by for eons and many, many lifetimes. And is it necessary for us to understand them and see them? They're in our face at the moment, so you've got to be hiding somewhere in order to avoid it. But if you don't see it, then you can't feel it, and then you can't make choices about doing something different. So it's being in it, not of it, and to recognize what's going on, and making different choices about your own life, about how you relate to other people, about how you relate to yourself. And they say so much that is unfolding might seem on the surface as one way, yet we tell you behind the scenes is very different. So what is behind the scenes? Who is behind the scenes? Again, we're being asked to consider a bigger picture. And are we just subject to this bigger picture dictating where we go, what we do, what we say? Well, we are the bigger picture. We are creating from behind the scenes, and we're also on the front line of creation. And there's a common desire for human beings to be better, to live better, to grow in consciousness. But in order to do that, we've had to take part in this play, if you like, this theatre. And we decided that there was a better place for us to exist, but we've had to create all these challenges and dramas and opportunities to make choices in order for us to, I guess, find our way into this new place. So every day we're being given opportunities to choose, to make a choice, and making a choice at this moment in time is utterly vital. Especially with what we're seeing on the news and having to deal with right now. It's hard not to take sides. Whichever side you're on, it's kind of irrelevant really, but we're being asked not to take sides. We're being asked to choose love over fear, peace over chaos, and whatever that means. And otherwise, we just continue the game. If every time, we live in a balancing universe, so you put weight on one end and it has to be balanced in the other, so you create opposition. And so it's time for us to stop the way we've been behaving. It's time to recreate a new way. War has never resolved anything. It's just created more wars. Always will. Always has done. It has never resolved a single issue in the entirety of human history. So it's not going to resolve this one either. But we have to have a plan for another way. We have to have a desire for another way, and we have to start dreaming about ideas about how to create another way. And then they go on to say, there's a process of freeing your mind from the deception, and it's kept you hostage from knowing the truth of who you really are. There's lots of ways of looking at deception, and one of them has been a conspiracy theorist way. And I've definitely had little sorties into that in my time, as many of us have. But I also see that as deception, even though there might be truth in some of the, seemingly truth in some of the conspiracies. It's a trap, and it's taking you away from your truth. And so we have to be mindful of, wrongdoings, if you like, and we have to deal with things in the way that humans have decided to be dealt with, in the proper way. But don't fall into the conspiracy theorist trap. Find your own way. Understand that what is appearing in the outside world, and at this moment in time it's war, is a reflection of our inner world. And so you have to start with yourself and resolve the war and conflict inside yourself. Change the narrative inside yourself that is, questioning, diminishing your being, doubting yourself. And become conscious of programming and question everything from what you eat, to the way you dress, to the way you exercise, to the way you relate to people, to the way what you believe about money, to what you believe about socio-economic status, to what you believe about poverty, etc., etc. Every single part of it is programming. And it's because we don't spend enough time listening to our soul energy. So we need to stop. We need to literally press the pause button and just reconsider where we're at and our role in what's being played on in the big scene, in the outer world scene rather. And choose differently. Every day you need to make conscious choices about choosing differently. And bit by bit, step by step, you know, the changes will start to appear in the bigger picture world. If every single one of us made a little positive change tomorrow, you know, things would happen very quickly. We've spoken about this before. So don't think you're not, you know, you have no sway in what goes on. We have sway. Every single one of us has sway and has an impact. But you have to take responsibility. It says, but that is changing now as the consciousness of the soul seeps into conversations across the planet. You know, and this is very reassuring for me. I mean, you only have to look at, you know, my generation and go back. I was around when the high streets didn't have juice shops or yoga centres, but they're everywhere now. Every, you know, country in the world talks about food health, exercise. Every country in the world now has places to go and meditate. There's a, you know, dramatic shift in the way we live, but none of it gets reported as positive news because positive news is useless to the mainstream media. It's not helpful to them, but it is helpful to us. And, you know, you can be anywhere on the planet and people are talking about this shift now. And it's by design to help us come out of this deprogramming state. And the suggestion here is that the soul energy is rising and there's nowhere on the planet now that's accepted from this. So we've got good coverage. And the planet is full of these wonderful grids and grid lines, and that energy goes into these grid lines and feeds everywhere. It's constantly feeding itself. And when we live by the soul connection, we live a much healthier, happier life. And when you align with the mind, through its distortions and its unfortunate history and the things it's had to deal with to keep you safe and so on, it's a very distorted energy, and that causes illness. First it causes kind of mild fatigue, and you might get slight, you know, depressions, anxieties, sort of low level stuff, and then the more and more you align with your mind, those symptoms and situations become a lot more intense and eventually end up at organ level unless you stop that now. So, you know, a very, you know, simple formula: you align with your soul and you'll stay happy and healthy. They say take a moment to honour all those whose lives are being affected as the battle takes place across the planet. That will seep into corners now that haven't until now been affected. This is, you know, by design also so that everyone has the opportunity to choose differently. There's nowhere that's going to be hidden from what's going on in the outside world, because everywhere is affected. On every continent somewhere, someone is embroiled in some, you know, news story or other that's asking you to think deeply about how your country's run and ultimately how your communities are run and how you run yourself. So the coverage is everywhere on that level as well as the soul level. And this is dramatic times of change. So, you know, stay in that soul self and you'll be fine. And they're saying people playing with lives without a thought for outcome on one hand is horrendous as seen from a human empathetic standpoint, yet from another it's part of a bigger plan. Why do we say this? Not to cause worry or upset, but to bring awareness that if certain events in Earth history can be foretold ahead of time, that means the ones who claim and believe to be in control aren't. This last sentence is, for me, quite complex. And the suggestion that the future is foretold, and if you take any interest in sort of, you know, human history, cultures, and esoteric teachings, there's been the story of this now 2026 and the years around it has been foretold as a time of great change, a split in the road, a time to choose differently. And on one side there's kind of a golden future, and on the other side is the opposite, and I guess it's more and the same, or even worse than where we're at now. And so they're saying that the ones who claim to believe aren't in control if this is foretold. My understanding, and teachers that I listen to and have a lot of respect for, and ancient teachings suggest that the human conscious family, the collective family, chose a golden age and chose to have that created. So it's already there in another paradigm, if you like, another dimensional space and time. Maybe a hard concept for some to follow, but it's my strong belief. I guess it's like some people see spirits and ghosts, if you want to call them that. Not a lot of people don't. So are they? Where do they exist and where do they don't? My belief is there is another golden future being built, if it's not already built. But we have to make the choice to step into it, and that choice is still available to us now. And the bigger picture that involves cleaning house, doing deep inner healing, clearing up everything that has not worked for us in the current state of affairs and before that. That bigger picture is being offered to us through contrast, through catalyst, through people that are seemingly causing horrific incidents and around the world that might make you feel like you're out of control. But they're not. They're offering you choice. Really important difference to make. And the choice, if you make the right one, will lead to this golden future coming to us far, far quicker. And again, they refer to the fact that the beings from beyond this realm that are here to help in so many ways can't make that happen for us, because we live in a world of choice, free will and choice. They can lead us into those positions, situations where we make the choices, but we have to, as an individual and a collective, make the choice to choose a better life, a peaceful life, a loving life. Just to sort of add a further piece to that, I think this golden future, if you like, is available forever. So, you know, if there are certain people that are here on this planet at the time, that the soul is here to be as a catalyst or to hold the energy of density, then it's not like they won't be invited into this new realm. They'll have to do some further work, if you like. Some of them are choosing to be here to do further work. Some of them are choose to reincarnate, doing different levels of third dimensional work, which is free will and choice. But at some point, we'll all end up. But isn't it much better to go now? So they invited you to go inside and close your eyes for a while. I invite you to do that repeatedly. You know, put your hand on your heart, breathe into that space, and connect with that soul. And I draw your attention here to your breath as well. And it's our choice to breathe. It's also our choice to do what we will with the breath that comes, because it brings vitality. You can breathe in peace. You can breathe deep into your body. You can breathe in light. You can breathe in positivity. You can breathe in vitality. You know, add flavors to your breath. Add intention to your breath. Make it work for you. There are lots of different ways of breathing. There are lots of it available online, on YouTube and various other platforms. You can do it in person, in groups, individually. I strongly urge you to develop a practice of your own. And notice how it affects you. Notice the changes in your physical body and mental, emotional. And notice how you feel after your breathing exercise compared to the way you were before. They encourage us to stay out of drama that's unfolding. Use your consciousness as a sort of inspiration, hope, and becoming the light post that you agreed to be. So the suggestion here is that we've chosen to be here at this time to hold this energy. I guess the people that are embroiled in these, war situations and other devastating situations, I doubt if they're watching this right now, maybe at some point in the future. But you are here, so you're a light post. They're asking us to stay in that place that we've agreed to be, to become more light, to keep lifting your vibration. Listen to your heart, listen to your soul, and, help others who may be struggling with that. For some, this will mean working on your own in a healing way. You are disconnected from your light, where within yourselves do you not feel love for yourself. Start there. Seek help if you need it. Sometimes our deep wounding patterns, we're so embroiled in them, and so they're so deeply ingrained that it's quite difficult just to breathe or just to say positive affirmations. So, seek help. Ask someone who's been through a healing process, and get a referral for someone who comes, with verifiable reference and knows, and so that you've got safety and security of someone you're working with. And it doesn't have to be a lifetime of, talking therapies, even though talking therapy is very helpful in some cases. A lot of it involves somatic work, moving that energy out of your physical body, but also accepting the story of where you've come from, what you've experienced, and not pushing it away. And a good therapist will help you process this and bring it to realization and a full acceptance of yourself. And this is what we're being asked to do right now. And remembering that the outer world is a reflection of our inner world, we mentioned earlier. The more you love yourself, the more you allow light into yourself, the more that shows out into the outside world, and people will start asking why you're the way you are when they're in such a difficult state, and you'll have ways to show them, to help them too. And they're suggesting that there's the shift in consciousness comes at the tipping point, and they refer to something called the 100th monkey effect. Now, this was a scientific experiment that was observed in the 60s, I think, where they observed a group of monkeys on an island near Japan that were cleaning food that had become covered in sand or grit, and one of the monkeys was able to find a way to wash it, either in the sea or in the river, and it cleaned the food. Now, the initial reaction was to reject this monkey, and in fact they broke its arm, and they had to take it out of the group in order for it to heal. It was returned to the group when it was safe. It began cleaning the food again, and another monkey stepped in to support it. And over time, more and more gathered to this group, and it was no longer rejected. And if I remember the piece of work correctly, they've used 100, whether that was 100 or not, I'm not sure. But when it reached a number of monkeys, it went into their consciousness, and groups of monkeys that were not connected directly to this particular group started washing the food. Now, how does that happen? Anyway, this is the sort of shift in consciousness that we're referring to, that it will catch like wildfire when it gets to a certain point, and I believe we're already there. So the more and more we put layers onto this, then it's going to change very, very quickly. They move on now to a slightly different, topic. They're talking about labels that define us, and the things that we say to ourselves, but also the things that we call ourselves, and even the basic idea that if you began life as a teacher, and you were a successful teacher, and you love being a teacher, and you say, I am a teacher, why wouldn't you? I am a teacher at that time. And then you have a career change, and you become a horticulturalist, and you love being a horticulturalist, and you become a very successful one, and say, I am a horticulturalist. So which one are you? Are you a teacher, or are you a horticulturist? Are you both? Are you neither? You know, that we should be saying that at this moment, I practice teaching, I practice horticulture, gardening. Much easier to say. Because when you label yourself in any way, shape or form, not just in work, but in how you identify with yourself and your beliefs and your spiritual beliefs and astrology and all of those things, you're limiting yourself in that moment in time. You're restricting other opportunities coming in, other gifts. So keep things open, keep the labels free. Enjoy what you're doing, love what you're doing, and then love something else, and then love something else. And the more you sort of include in your if you like, on your journeys, that brings a bigger question to, who am I? If I'm not these things, if these things are just experiences, then who am I? And that's how this, message started, with the question, who am I? And the answer is being I am. Now, I am has been spoken about in many, many spiritual teachings over the years and for eons, and the I am being the soul energy, I am being the God self, and I am being. I'm a state of awareness. And so, ask that question to yourself every day. Who am I? Who am I in this bigger picture? Who am I in this theatre? Who am I? What role am I playing today? One of my favourite programmes when I was a kid, if you're from my generation, was Mr. Ben. I absolutely loved it, because he would go into this little shop, this tailor's, and he would choose a different outfit. He'd go behind in the changing rooms and come out as a cowboy or an Indian or a doctor or a train driver. And I just thought that idea was wonderful, that you could leave your office job in the daytime and at night time go and be something else. Maybe there was something inside me knew that there was a truth in this program. But yeah, breathe well, keep asking the question, who am I? Detach as much as you possibly can from the dramas, and keep shining your light, and all will be well. So I hope that helps.
I just wanted to quickly add that if anybody wants to dive deeper into breathwork and they haven't had the experience of a in-person powerful breathwork session, then you're actually starting on the third Monday of every month on the Kent coast. If anyone would like any more information, reach out to us through our social media. You'll see all the links underneath in one way or the other. Reach out to Jed, and to get the actual, a really, really powerful experience of breathwork and how to really use your breath to go much deeper inwards.
Yes, I would love to see that. It's going to be called Coastal Breathwork, and it's coming very soon.
23rd of March.
23rd of March.
Yes, this is the first one.
So thank you for listening.
Yeah.
And
see you next week.
We look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah. Bye.
Ciao for now.